Hey guys, Victor here again, coming at you today with another retro deck profile for the September 2011 format. Today's focus is going to be on Dragon Exodia, which is an FTK deck that attempts to draw through your entire deck in order to, you guessed it, draw Exodia. Unfortunately, it's not very consistent, and you will lose a majority of your games, as this deck wouldn't really become popular, so to say, until Photon Shockwave releases, because of the release of a card known as One Day of Peace. But that doesn't mean we can't play it in the September 2011 format. So, with that out of the way, let's jump straight into the deck profile. Now, in case you couldn't tell from the intro, we are of course going to be playing all 5 pieces of Exodia. So that means we're going to be playing one right leg of the Forbidden One, one left leg of the Forbidden One, one left arm of the Forbidden One, and one right arm of the Forbidden One, along with Exodia the Forbidden One. Not much to say, this is literally your win condition. Either we get to it turn 1 or we lose the game, it's as simple as that. The only thing that you have to keep in mind when regarding all the pieces is that the only way that we can get them back is with Dark Factory mass production in this deck. So that means we have no way to get back Exodia the Forbidden One. So if you're forced to discard, always discard the limbs instead. If you ever discard this, you also insta-lost the game. Unless, of course, you want to play Pot of Avarice, but we're not playing Pot of Avarice in here. And then after that, we're going to be playing 2 Royal Magical Library. I opted to 2 over 3 because it is kind of a brick at times. And honestly, once you get to the first one, it's pretty much game over for the most part. It's because every time you activate a spell, it gets a spell counter. And then you can remove 3 counters from it to draw an additional card. Not much to say. If you're playing an FTK deck or something degenerate, this card's usually one of the main suspects around this time era. So yeah, it's pretty much an auto inclusion. I don't really like 3. I feel like 2 is perfect. And then after that, we have the Blue Eyes engine. So we're going to be playing 3, the White Stone of Legend. This is going to be your main method of getting discards in order to get into your Exodia pieces, because you're going to discard it off of cards such as Cards of Consonance. And then once it's sent to the graveyard, it floats into your Blue Eyes White Dragons. And then speaking of Blue Eyes White Dragons, we're also going to be playing 3 of them. It's incredibly important to max out on 3/3 because you always want to have one of these in hand to pair with your trade-ins or Cards of Consonances, and just getting them into the graveyard to discard is pretty much the main method that you use to draw cards in this deck. However, we will be playing one more Blue Eyes, and that is Blue Eyes Toon Dragon. So, spoiler alert, we will be playing the Toon Table of Contents, as this is a degenerate deck, so it's only natural that we play one of the more degenerate cards to pair well with Royal Magical Library. And it being a dragon and an additional level 8 for trade-in is just invaluable to helping this deck succeed. And with that, that's the monster lineup, and now we can finally move on to the spell portion of the deck. So kicking off the spells, we're going to have our main draw power being 3 Cards of Consonance and 3 trade-in. These cards work really well with the Blue Eyes engine. You use Cards of Consonance to discard your White Stone of Legend, and then your White Stone gets into your Blue Eyes White Dragon, which in turn activates your trade-in to draw 2 more. Just a really nice combo. It's pretty much the heart and soul of the draw engine because you always want to have access to these. And then after that, we're going to be playing 3 Toon Table of Contents. This is a Royal Magical Library deck, and Toon Table is invaluable in these type of decks, as it's pretty much able to set up your Royal Magical Library instantly by giving it 3 counters, and then it also has the added bonus of giving you the Blue Eyes Toon Dragon, which in turn turns on your trade-ins in case you aren't able to get to a vanilla Blue Eyes White Dragon. And next, we're going to be playing 3 Upstart Goblin. Not much to say. Giving your opponent 1,000 life points doesn't matter because we're trying to Exodia them. It's a good card. You just free draw 1. Not much to say. It's just, yeah, you should always be playing it in this type of deck. But something that's a little bit more controversial is Into the Void. Since this is an FTK deck, I've opted into the Void because of the fact that we're not trying to play past turn 1. If either we get it turn 1 or we don't. However, if you want to, this card is easily the most cuttable card in the entire list, and you can replace it with cards like Magical Mallet or Reload that are pretty much like hand shufflers that let you try and get to the FTK again. And then also, this deck is honestly pretty good at getting to Exodia after turns 2 and 3. It's not as fun. I'd rather go all in and bank it on the first turn, you know? So yeah, if you want to, you can cut this, but for the sake of this video and the sake of this deck, I'm going to be playing 3 Into the Void. And then after that, we're going to be playing 3 Dark World Dealings. Pretty important. The only downside is that your opponent has the potential to draw into their effect Veilers, which turns off your Royal Magical Libraries, which is never a good thing. But it does help unclog your hand. Like, say you only have a trade-in and a White Stone, but you have this, You can draw, discard the white stone, get the blue eyes, and then draw 2 more off the trade-in. And just little things like that help go a long way in getting to your Exodia play. And then for our final 3 of, we're going to be playing 3 Super Rejuvenation. This card was never seen from what I remember of the format. And if it was pretty uncommon. But this card's ridiculous, if I'm being honest. Every time you discard a dragon, you get to draw 1 more card during the end phase. And we have 7 dragons that we're typically going to discard, so that means we're going to draw 7 cards during the end phase. And then the best part is that they stack, or say you only have 1, right? So you activate it, you draw your 7, and you draw into a second Super Rejuvenation. You can then activate the second Super Rejuvenation to draw 7 more. And if you get to the 3rd one, you can activate that one too to draw 7 more. It's just a really good card. And it allows you to have like a bunch of end phase shenanigans, especially when you pair it with the 2 reloads that we're having. So typically after a Super Rejuvenation, your hand's going to be enormous, typically like around 7 to 10 cards. And so you're going to have multiple shots with reload to fix your hand and draw into your 5 pieces of Exodia in case you can't get to it in your main phase. And just little things like that go a long way in helping you win the game. And honestly, there are even times where you can get like a hand of 20 cards just because of Super Rejuvenation. So the odds of you drawing into your Exodia off of those 20 cards are pretty high. And then after that, we're just going to be playing a couple 1-0s. We're going to be playing 1 hand destruction. The only reason I play 1 hand destruction over multiples is mainly because of the fact that it sends instead of discards, so it doesn't feed into Super Rejuvenation. It's pretty much like a last resort kind of card in case your hand's like really bad, but it's okay just to have 1. And then we have the 1 Dark Factory of Mass Production. This card helps you get back your Exodia limbs or your vanilla Blue Eyes White Dragons in case you have an extra trade-in or something that you want to discard. Or if you activate it like Super Rejuve, right? You can get back a Blue Eyes, and then you can make it become discarded, and it'll count as another Blue Eyes total towards your Super Rejuve for another draw. There's just like a lot of really cool utility with this card. But the final spell will be 1 Pot of Duality, because it's Pot of Duality. Reveal the top 3 cards of your deck and add 1. But we're only playing 1 because it's a hard once per turn. So if you get it, it's good. And we don't have to worry about breaking out other copies. And with that, that's the main deck. It's 40 cards. Not much to say. It's a really fun deck, but it doesn't work often. And if you were wondering about the extra deck, we don't play an extra deck. So you don't have to worry about that. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't be playing cards in your extra deck. You should always be putting 15 cards in your extra deck to pretty much like try and confuse your opponent and make them think that you're playing a normal deck. Because if they see that you have no cards in your extra, they're going to think something is up and pretty much plan for it. So just throw in 15 random max rarity cards that you want to flex on your opponent and you should be good to go. And with that, that's the deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time. See ya!